What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Tell Me More podcast presented by Major League Success. I'm excited. I have Anita Graves with us. She is with the Anita Graves Group at Corcoran Global Living. And Anita, we connected maybe a year ago, year and a half ago. We actually sat down. We actually initially met on Clubhouse, but we've both been in the business forever. I'm sure we, talked to one another over the phone, but actually formally got to sit down on a one-to-one basis about a year and a half ago, I believe.
Yeah, I do believe that's about right. Yeah.
And it's crazy because your daughter, Alex,
hmm
I actually connected with her when I first got into the business from one of her business adventures. So it's just funny how it's a small world sometimes and how all of that stuff shakes out.
Yep. It sure is a small world. That's for sure.
But no, I appreciate the time today and you coming on here and joining the podcast. We always start with growing up. Typically, as I interview more and more people, I always
Mhm.
tend to see that there's a lot of things that influence our real estate careers one way or another, whether it's from our childhood, a parent being in the business or a family member being in business, or something from a previous career that has greatly impacted our real estate business and how we think about things. But growing up, what was life like for you?
So I grew up here in Columbus. And then when I got married, we moved away for about 8 years. My husband was in the military. We moved back here to raise our kids. But growing up, I tell people this story all the time is I always watched my dad was very entrepreneurial. So I'm a lot like my dad. So growing up, I always witnessed that side, the business side of him doing that, how he worked with people, how he managed people that worked for him, things like that. So I think I just inherited that sense of wanting to be an entrepreneurial, or at least my own boss, right? So
Were you just always like following him around, or was it something that you just always did from the beginning yourself? Lemonade stand selling. You know how schools, like, we'd sell the candy bars and and,
oh
and
yeah.
all of those things.
Yeah, we did all that. We did that, but I didn't even know that I was uh, that my dad would be such a big influence. I think it's our personality, right? It was just our personality. As we have ideas, we implement them, we want to do it, we don't rely on somebody else to do things for us. So I don't know. No, my dad was a very manly man, and he had manly jobs and companies and stuff. And I was a girly girl. My dad loved to fish, and he had three girls, and none of us liked to fish. So yeah, it was. I mean, so no, I didn't follow him around, but I think just seeing his work ethic, that was big. I mean, his work ethic was definitely something that rubbed off on me, and my mom too. Now, my mom was more of the person who, wanted to go and have a steady paycheck and know that, she was going to get paid at the end of the week or whatever. She was more of that type, but she had great work ethic as well, and that's what she taught us. So both of
Yeah.
them taught us that.
Yeah, I'm sure just observing, right, and seeing just how they maneuver things
Yeah.
on both sides of it. So what was high school? Did you do sports? Were you into, other things?
High school, I cheered a little bit. I was not into sports. Yeah, couldn't play an instrument to save my life. So I wasn't in the band or anything, although I always wanted to. I did take guitar lessons once, and I failed miserably. But yeah, so but yeah, just got through high school, uh, and decided I wanted to go to college. Didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I always wanted to be a fashion buyer. I wanted to move to New York City and be a buyer, and I wanted to travel the world. So I started off in college, started off with fashion merchandising. And I was like, yeah, college is not for me right now, and ended up getting married. So um, uh, So we kind of put that on hold because I wasn't really passionate about that.
Sure. Sure. Did you stay here local then for college? Did you go to Ohio State or
Ohio University, so
Ohio University? Okay.
local-ish.
So then, so you go to school. Was it something, was it something that was implied in your family, or was it like, hey, you are going to college, or
No,
just totally up to you?
no, my dad actually said to me, "Well, why I don't understand why you're gonna go to college. You should just go learn, get some more typing and be a secretary."
It's
Yeah,
so interesting. It's always interesting. It wasn't anything in my family that was like, oh, you have to go to college, but it was kind of like implied almost a little bit.
right.
It's like military or college, or figure out a way to find a good job.
Yeah, see, my dad was, go be a secretary because, in his time, that's what women should do. My mom was like, "Oh, go work for the state because you'll get good benefits." And I was like, "Do you guys not see me? I am my father's daughter. I'm just I'm not going to go and do those things." So, of course, I did what I wanted to do, but, sorry.
So you end up going to school and you find that it's maybe, was it because you maybe weren't as passionate what you thought about, or was it just school wasn't really something that you really
Yeah.
cared too much about?
Well, I was only 17. I graduated high school when I was 17. So I was the younger, on the younger end of it. I did not have a clear path. I went to school and I had a lot of fun. I mean, I had a lot of and
Hey,
then
that's a learning experience.
it was. I had a lot of fun and I realized really quick that I'm not ready for this. I'm not ready for that. I was not that passionate about it.
Yeah.
So I knew when to cut and run. I knew that there would be a waste of my time and getting a degree in something that I don't really have a passion for. So
Yeah. That's a lot right there, right? To be able to, at that age, you know, I always joke with people on my degree. I didn't spend 1 second working with what I went to school for.
yeah,
I jumped right into real estate right afterwards, and I just joke and say, like, my degree at Ohio State is pretty much what a lot of the classes that the athletes would take, and it's kind of a joke. And the fact that one, you made that decision so early, and realized that that, hey, there's no point of me being here if I'm not going to give it 100%, if I'm not passionate about it, and then understanding at the same time, maybe you don't necessarily need that college degree to find your career or what you want to do next. So so you decide school's not for you, end up getting married, right?
hmm
I believe is what you said.
yep.
What's the kind of the next couple steps in life after that?
So my husband and I were high school sweethearts. So when I had gone off to college, and so I suppose that probably could have maybe been a little bit of a reason why I left college too. I don't know. But anyway, so left and we got married. We were only 19 when we got married, and then he had joined the military. So we like I said, we were gone for 8 years. We had our two daughters, moved back here to Columbus, and um, kind of things that kind of our paths went ways that we weren't expecting them to. So we moved back here, our kids were young, started school. We I always wanted, I wanted to stay home with my kids. I did not want to, I didn't want somebody else to raise them. I wanted to raise them, but yet
Sure.
I like to work. I like to have something to do. I like to do that stuff. So um our girls they were into dance and cheerleading and stuff, and they were only 3, 5 years old, elementary school. So I was like, I'll just start a dance studio. So I opened a dance studio.
And no prior experience with running a business or anything like that?
No, no,
That's
not at
awesome.
all, and it was successful. And it
That's
was
awesome.
successful. Yeah.
I had Shelly Cottrell on here, and she started in-home daycare, just because she had her kids,
Yeah.
and then she's turned into a business for her. And it's just crazy how sometimes It's
Yeah.
just like, hey, I just want to do this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
It was
how
great
long
for
were
me.
you operating that?
We had that for 4 years, and then that was not my passion. I loved the kids, but everything you hear about dance moms is true. So, yeah, stage mothers. So, and I always swore I wasn't going to be one of those. But anyway, so I sold the business after 4 years, and I also owned a cheerleading company. So we went around and we taught. We had camps and stuff for cheerleaders. This was when competitive cheerleading was before it was big. It was before it was like early 90s, like 1991, 1992. So we started this thing, and we'd go around the state, we'd hold competitions and that kind of stuff. So, and then we would teach camps and everything else. So we hired college cheerleaders and everything, and to teach. So we did that. I loved that too. My girls have always been into dance, and they grew up in that, and obviously the dance and the cheerleading and stuff. So that kind of, it really just kind of fell in with that. But then after that, I ended up selling the cheerleading company too. So I actually co-owned it with my sister. So
Okay.
but yeah, so we ended up selling those off. And so then, because at that point, then our girls were the ones in the competitions and, going to the places, and we wanted to focus on our kids and not so much everybody's kids. And it wasn't a passion. It was not a passion project for me. It was just something to do with
To
our
keep
kids.
you busy.
Yeah,
And you're running both of those at the same time?
correct.
Okay. Okay. What ended up what got you turned on to real estate and becoming a realtor?
So when my husband and I had moved back here before I started the dance studio, when we moved back here after he got out of active duty military, we moved back here, and he just stayed in the reserve military. We were buying a house, and my agent, who I love, and she's an icon in this area, but she hasn't been around for a while. But we're going through this process, and I was just doing these things. I was just doing it, and I was really interested. I didn't even realize that I could be a real estate agent, right? Didn't even think about it. And one day she said to me, she goes, Anita, you got to stop doing my job for me. Let me do my job. And I said, what do you mean? She goes, well, you're doing all, and I said, I just thought I had to do it. I just thought it was, and she goes, you would be a great real estate agent. You need to do this. So my youngest daughter was 3, my oldest daughter was 5. And so I took the classes. I was like, I could do this. So I took the classes, and I just realized I could not do it. There's no way. I couldn't do it with having 2 young kids. I need to be able to take them with me to wherever I needed to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Free dance studio, right? So so I didn't take the test. So I didn't, this was in 1989. So I didn't do anything with it. I didn't take the test. So then when my youngest daughter so then that's when we did the dance studio. And then when my youngest daughter, Alex, who was in 5th grade, I was like, okay, I'm ready. The kids are old enough now. I'm ready to do this. So I went back, took the test, and here we are.
Was during that period of running the dance studio and the cheerleading and company, and was real estate a passion? Like, was it always back of your mind? Like, was it
Yeah.
something that you were still but you just kind of put it on the back burner because of the girls?
Yes, absolutely. I knew at that point that this is something I wanted to do. I just knew I needed to wait and determine when the right time was. And so, like I said, Alex being in 5th grade, Eric was in the 7th grade. I was like, I can do this now. I got them through elementary school. I can do this now. So,
That's so interesting, the delayed gratification on something that you knew that you wanted to do, but you had to push it off
yeah,
because you weren't necessarily, you were ready, but family life wasn't necessarily ready,
right.
right? And really turning into 2 different businesses, and I think that a lot of people would struggle with that.
Hmm.
I mean, even I talk to agents all the time. It's is your passion really about selling real estate, or is it something else, maybe within the real estate space, or maybe not in real estate, but we get attached to this identity of I have to be successful, as a real estate agent. And the fact that you were kind of able to push some of that off a little bit until you were absolutely ready to dive in is awesome. It's amazing.
Well, it's about what was most important to me, and then when I was able to, take the test, get my real estate license, start building my business, it was never a focus of mine to be a mega agent, or I wanted to do enough where, my kids will tell this, they tell this story all the time to people, and they'll tell you, my husband and I never missed one of their cheerleading competitions, never missed one of their football games, basketball games, anything they did, none of their dance competitions. They competitively cheered and competitively danced, as well as high school dance and cheer. They were always on the go. And we never missed anything, because that was always family first. Could I have made more money and sold more real estate? Absolutely. Was not my focus. So I was able to do what I love doing, which is real estate, but my kids came first, and that's where I wanted to be. So I'm thankful that I was able to do that. And I don't know if a lot of other people realize they can do it, because I think they get, like, to your point, where they need to do a certain amount or whatever. What is success? What is success
Yeah.
to you? What is success to me? It's two different things. To me, I'm very successful because I was able to do that with my kids, and I was able to be what I consider a successful agent.
Yeah. I think we create a lot of that anxiety. I know I did. Of if I wasn't doing something within real estate, if I was sitting at home or, you know, visiting family for the holidays, if I wasn't thinking real estate or doing real estate, I just felt like this anxiety of like, oh
Mhm.
no, I'm not going to get that next client, or oh no, I'm not going to have that closing, or oh no, I'm not going to do whatever. And I think that kind of comes with being that entrepreneur, and maybe you had some of that experience. I don't know.
I did. I had that all
Did
the
you feel
time.
any of that?
All the time. I would feel, if it has taken me 5 years. I've started working on this 5 years ago, to really realize that I can go for a whole weekend and not have a real estate related function or event or something. I don't have to show a house. If I'm not doing an open house, you know what I mean? But it's
Yeah.
taken me that long. I had to work into that space, because it consumes you. Especially, my kids are adults now, right? Listen, my kids are your age. You're probably younger than my kids. So I just, I've been doing this long enough that without having my kids be the focus. So I really, really focused on real estate. So moving out of that space and trying to think about, having a life instead of just real estate, it's hard, but I know I 100% understand that. I'm just now getting to the point where I don't think that way. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of it too is, you're probably comfortable with exterior perception. I'm getting more comfortable with what other people think of me. And to your point, you're defining your success and you're okay with that. I'm
Yeah.
defining my success and I'm okay with that. And I think that's where that a lot of that anxiety comes from is you don't. And that's why for this podcast, I wanted to bring real estate professionals on that have success and share their journey and share their story to let other people know that there's so many different ways to one get into this business, and
Mhm.
there's so many different ways to find success once you're here. And it's not always. I just always hated the titles top listing agent, top door knocker, top this, top that. It's
Yeah.
you don't need to be the top social media influencer to have a successful real estate business.
Mhm.
So when you decided to jump into real estate at that time, supporters, doubters, I'm assuming you probably had more supporters because your path is you owned other businesses to where the paychecks weren't always necessarily guaranteed.
Right.
Whereas others maybe get into the business coming from a career where, they're giving up a salary or they're giving up, a steady income. But when you decided to switch gears into real estate, was it supporters on your side? Did you have some doubters?
Well, my parents were doubters because they thought I should be a secretary or go work for the state, right? So because it's a steady paycheck, and you get benefits. But my husband was a big supporter. That was huge, because a lot of times it all fell on him to make the money, because to make the paychecks, because you go months without getting a paycheck in real estate. So, but yeah, he was my biggest supporter. My kids were my big supporters. But for the most part, you're always going to have doubters. You're always going to have supporters. You just focus on the supporters and let them, help guide you through it.
Yeah. Let's dive into kind of the beginning of your real estate career.
Mhm.
Was it instant success? Were there some failures? Can you kind of dive into the first, couple years? What did you focus on? What were some of your results?
I just did me. I didn't set a goal to be like a certain person or a certain thing. I don't know, maybe I was, naive to it, but I just set out and did my thing. So, started out at which was then King Thompson. It's now Coldwell Banker, King Thompson, now just Coldwell Banker, but started out at King Thompson. And I just did. I just grinded, right, as much as I could, right? So
Yeah.
again, success was at my level. I just did what I wasn't trying to be the top agent in the office, wasn't trying to, be the best at I wanted to find that good balance between my family and, real estate. So, my first full year in real estate, I was the top closing agent in my office. And I had
Wow.
no clue, none whatsoever. At the awards banquet, and I'm sitting by my assistant manager at the time, and they're calling out these names, and I'm just sitting there, and all of a sudden they called my name, and I went, "What?" And I looked at her, and she went, "Mm-hmm." She knew I didn't know. She knew that wasn't all right. So that kind of lit a little bit of a fire under me, but but I but I again never really focused on that. I'm not competitive. I'm the least competitive person. I'm not going to look at your numbers and look at my numbers and think, oh, I can do better than that. I'm going to look at, if I even looked at your numbers, I would say, yay, I want you
Yeah,
to do more, right? I am competitive against myself though.
sure.
So I always strived to do better or more for the next year. But then that next year, so that first full year in real estate, I was the top closing agent. And then the president of the company came to me and said, "Hey, a lot of the agents in the office tell me that you're really helpful to them. Are you interested in management?" And I was like, I don't know. So they had two management positions open and an assistant manager position. I was like, "Yeah, well, I would like to try the assistant management position and see what it's like." And they were like, "No, no, no, we want you to be a manager." And I was like, "Oh, I don't know. I mean, I'm like a year and a half in the business, right? Not even 2 years in the business." And so anyway, so I told them I would try it and I give them a year. And after that, I'll let them know. And I gave it a year and I left after the year. I left because I was like, nah, I wasn't making the money. I wasn't making money like I can in real estate. So
Yeah. Was it just that, or was that the difference between being the entrepreneur and now being kind of like in that you're probably strapped to office hours and certain
no,
expectations where
yeah. No, because remember, I like to help people. I mean, and I think
yeah,
that's what they saw. So I really enjoyed that part of it. And in all honesty, I wasn't making nearly the money that I could be making selling real estate, but it's a lot of strong personalities in real estate agents. And it was not easy. So instead of having to take care of, 30, 40, whatever agents I had, and their attitudes and whatever, I chose to worry about myself and my clients.
yeah, yeah. No, that's awesome. So were you also selling during that year as well, or did you kind of have to give that up?
I was allowed to sell a little bit, not a whole lot, not a
Yeah.
whole lot.
I always found it's so hard, in my opinion, to navigate both of those waters at the same time.
Yeah.
It's you can't give all parties the service that they deserve?
It is hard. I think it can be done, but at what level? I
Right.
mean, so after that, after I left management with Coldwell Banker, I moved over to Remax, and I was there several years with one Remax franchise, and then I went to another Remax franchise, and then the owners had approached me about being a co-owner in a Hilliard office because they didn't have any presence in Hilliard at that time, and I had come from a Remax Hilliard office that closed down, and so I went into a business partnership with them and did that for about 4.5 years, and decided to move on from that. Stayed with Remax, but again, it's hard to have a business partner too. But I mean, it just is. So I
Yeah.
managed all the agents in the office and did all that stuff. And again, I love helping people be successful. So that's what I focused on. I focused on helping the agents be successful.
On the brokerage side of things, because I didn't know that. I didn't know you kind of had your own,
Hmm.
office brokerage going on. I think a lot of agents strive um, to get to that situation, right? Hey, I want to open up my own office. But I always saw it as more headache and liability, I guess. Um, what was some of your experiences, as running, the brokerage and again, it's not just buying and selling homes. You're managing people. You're going out to have to attract people to come to your company. You're going to have to deal with all the files and the headaches within every transaction potentially. And
Yeah, it is. It's brokers don't make a lot of money. Brokers just they don't. It just doesn't. Brokerages. I mean, it's not. Don't do it. You can make more money selling real estate than you can being a broker,
yeah,
um, because you're in control of, for the most part of what you do. But it was again. I did it. I liked the entrepreneurship part of it. I liked being a business owner. I liked that aspect of it. I loved helping other agents. Um, but I would say it looks sexy, but it's not as sexy as it is.
yeah. And
Really.
I think that's where real estate teams started to kind of come in
Yeah.
and kind of bridge that gap, right? Because you're not a broker, you don't own a brokerage, but your team is a mini version
Yeah.
of just that.
Yeah.
And you can have your systems and you can have the way that you want to do things and your consultations and generate your own business and go out and get your own agents without having a lot of the overhead liability and all of those things that are attached to actually running a brokerage or a franchise.
Right. Yep.
So lead me up to, after that, kind of lead me up to your current day and where you're at with your business.
So where I am now is, 25 years later. Um, and I say that because I don't think I've done anything other than be married for more than 25 years. So, married and have my
You've
kids.
been a mom. You've been a mom.
I've been a mom and I've been married. I've been married 40 years this year and been a mom for almost that long. Scary to think. Anyway, but I am actually on a different trajectory to continue to grow my team with strong, like-minded agents that have the same goals that I do or did, that have the same passion that I do. That I always say that I have a small team because I don't. I can't believe over the years how many people have come to me and said, "Oh, I would like to be on your team." And at first I just take anybody on my team, and then it would
Yeah.
never work out. Well, they don't have the same ethics or morals or standards that I do. So, so right now what I'm doing is I'm focusing on building the right team. It could be small, it could be large. I don't know. I don't have a specific goal, but what my goal there is to do that is that to have the right people on my team so that I can just help lead them and that I could get out of the production side of it, meaning, not listing and selling.
Yeah.
I would do that tomorrow if I had the right people on my team, but I know it's going to take some time. So, and then there's the long-term, of what I think is, someday I'm going to retire. I'm not going to do this forever. I'm
Right.
not going to be an 80-year-old real estate agent. I'm not. I refuse to be an 80-year-old real estate agent. So I've got to start thinking about, what do I do to make sure that this is right now? As you know, I have my daughter on my team, so that is a huge plus, and she will more than likely take over the team. But I also want to set her up for success as well. I'm not ready to leave this business. I'm
Yeah.
just ready to work in a different way on this team.
Yeah. For sure. It's running, a business, right?
Yeah,
It's actually running a business. And,
right.
I talk to agents about this a lot. It's you can do it all. You can, but are you really running a business, or do you have a job? Right. And I like to, it was just always ingrained in me in my beginning years of getting into the business, which funny enough, today I posted my very first real estate conference I went to 11 years ago. But my coach from that conference and in my early years was always like, as a real estate agent, how do you build authority like a doctor? Or how do you build authority like an attorney? The doctor's not checking you in, weighing you,
Yeah,
drawing your blood, checking your blood pressure. No, they have other people set up, and then you see them for about 2.5 seconds, and then they leave, right? And they tell you, hey, here's what's wrong with you, and here's what you need to do, right? And to your point of, you want to be in the business, but actually creating that business to where, yeah, maybe you're not in production, but you're behind the scenes and you're handling the CEO and the CFO and those roles, and you have other people in place that are actually out running the business and then doing the business.
right. I would,
What?
I think that, I've always heard that as well, is that, if you're um, if you're setting up the appointments, and you're scheduling all the transaction stuff, and you're scheduling the photography, then you are the administrative person, and that's who you are. If you're you know setting out signs, then you're the sign person, that kind of stuff. So what do you want to focus on? And I understand we all have to do that, at some
Yep.
point in
Yep.
business stuff, but you're right. And so I did. I mean, I hired all that stuff out. So that's how I've gotten to where I am now, where I'm able to have a life, is because I've hired all of that stuff out. But I think it's important for people to, I don't think newer agents understand that. I don't know if they're getting the right guidance. And that's what I like to do on the team, is I want to guide people what to do, how to do it. Here's what I ultimately want to do is I like to coach. And that's what I do now with my team, is I coach my team.
Yep.
We do our coaching calls every week. And that's what I want to do. I've been approached by a national coaching company to coach with them. I'm not sure it's the right company for me. But I am looking
Yeah.
to get the right one. But that's what I want to do. I love doing that. I love to help people. I want to see people succeed. So
Yeah. Well, I'm right there with you. And I had the same conversation with an agent earlier today, actually, where it's one of those things where for you, for me, real estate has been such a benefit to our lives and our family's lives and all. I can speak for myself. I mean, I got in at 22 right out of college, and
mhm.
the lifestyle and things that real estate's provided me over the last 11 years, that's where I want to see other people change their lives, get out of that career that maybe they're not passionate about, or
Right.
they're just tired of the grind, working 60, 70 hours a week, punching a clock just to get that paycheck, when you can accomplish that, other ways, and do things that'll allow you to spend time with your family if set up the right way. That will allow you the freedom and flexibility within your day if set up the right way.
Mhm.
That will allow you the income if you do it the right way. So I wanted to go back. When did you decide to build the team?
It kind of it kind of found me. Honestly, like I said, people when I owned the Remax franchise, I think Well, no, because even before that, I would have somebody come up to me and say, I, I want to get my real estate license, and I would like to come and work with you or whatever. And I'm like, okay, okay, come and work with me. But then when I owning the Remax franchise, I would have couple agents that were kind of not doing so great, and they really wanted to come under my tutelage, right? They wanted me to guide them. And of course, you can only do so much and then
Right.
none of these people are in the business anymore. So that's when I had decided, okay, I've put some people on the team, they've gone, whatever. And then I decided, you know what, I'm going to have a team. I'm going to make sure it's who I want on there. I'm going to make sure that they're the right people. So then I started having to learn how to have a team. And I'm still learning. I am. I'm still learning because I've got my daughter, I've got my best friend, and two other agents on my team are past clients of mine who came to me and said, hey, I want to get my real estate license. Are you putting anybody else on your team? Now, with that being said, I've had other past clients of mine say the same thing. And I have said, no, I'm not taking new people on my team because I knew they weren't the right fit. It's not that I don't like them. It's just I knew they weren't the right fit. So,
Sure.
but yeah, that's how my team has formed so far.
Yeah, it's one of those things that you said, you're still learning. We all are. I tell people, building a team or getting into real estate or switching brokerages, it doesn't matter what it is. It's what are the holes in your bucket that you need to fill, and what problems do you want to solve for? Because a lot of people are like, oh man, if I just had, an admin to handle all of my transactions and paper, okay, that's great. But now you got to make sure that you can make payroll every single month. You
Yep.
got to make sure that they have enough to do every single month. You got to deal with their personalities and their life issues and all of those things. So, building, whether it's a one person team or, a 5-person team or a 50-person team, I would say, well, what problems do you want to solve for? Because the problems aren't going away, they're
No.
just changing. And a lot
Yep.
of times we try to make that next step and we solve that one problem, but then another one appears, right? It's like, okay, now I gotta go chase that. So if you think that you figured it all out, I think you're just fooling yourself.
Yeah.
And I think we're always learning, and that's the one thing about real estate. You know, we're always learning stuff about real estate, which is
Yep.
why I love it.
Every
It's
day.
never every day there's something new.
Yep.
Um, so I want to start fast forwarding into the future and kind of some of your goals and plans and what you want to accomplish. What's something that you're looking to do over the next 12 months?
Yeah, well, probably just, kind of what I alluded to with just kind of structuring my team, growing. I want to grow the team with a few more agents, strong agents. They don't have to sell 500 homes a year. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for
Right.
agents, that, like I said, who actually want to work and have a passion for this and want to learn. And so I'm looking to do that for the next 12 months or so. And then kind of moving out of, structuring myself where I can move out of the production side of it, just helping the agents on the team ramp up their production and getting, just so that I can coach and I can do what I want to do, be that team leader, and the agents can, rely on the team to be able to help them be successful.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. What are you looking to accomplish in the next 5 years? What's a 5-year goal for you?
Um, yeah. I would hope that I have the goal I just talked about done within the next 3 years is kind of what my goal is. 5 years, I don't know what 5 years looks like. Um, probably just still being in that space of uh, being able to coach the team, that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's probably what I'm looking for in the next 5 years.
What do you think? Because you've heard me say this a couple times. Implementation, execution are the two hardest things that I see that agents struggle with the most. What do you think that you need to do or put in place within your business to make sure you do hit that 3-year goal in your case? of, really starting to transition out of the business?
I think I need to be confident in my systems, which I think I am, but again, putting the right people, on the team. And, I mean, just having the confidence to be able to step away, which is, I'm a control freak, so it's hard for me to do, but I'm getting there. I'm getting there. It's, getting a little bit easier.
Just slowly but surely, right? Just give up one thing, then you can give up two, then you give up three, and you got it. That's the thing is like, the systems work, right?
Right.
Because one, they worked for you. So no one can ever tell you that they don't work because they worked for you. And two, now you have agents on the team where those systems and processes and things are working for them. So you're starting to see, and other agents will see the social proof, right? That's my whole thing is,
Mhm.
you need to create that social proof so other agents come in and say, okay, I have this example, this example, this example, this example. Well, what's the only difference? Me,
Right.
right? It's whether or not you want to utilize all the systems the right way, the processes, and follow it the way
Yeah.
it's supposed to be followed. Um, what is a legacy goal for you? What is that goal that I was asked this question by Mike Doyle, and he read it in a book, and it was, what's your 100-year goal? What's that goal that you still want to accomplish even when you're no longer here? I like the legacy approach, and that's why I don't have it on our sheet, because I want to
Yeah.
kind of see what everyone thinks about when that question's asked.
Um, that's I don't I don't know that I've ever thought about legacy, about what I'm going to, obviously I want to leave a strong team for my daughter and the rest of the people on my team. And I want them to be as successful as they want to, if they want to carry on with the team. But if they don't want to carry on, and let's say they decide they don't want to be in the real estate industry anymore and they just go away, I'm fine with that too. It's not about, I don't know that I have a legacy. That's a stumper. Thanks.
Well, you know, it's one of those things where it's you think about, and what's that lasting impact that you can either leave, either in the business or just in life in general, right?
Yeah.
And I thought it was a great question, because most of the time we're asked, oh, what's your 1-year goal? What's your 5-year? What's your 10-year? What's
Yeah.
your 25? But it's, really like, what are you truly wanting to accomplish with your life? So I always just ask that question, because I think it's just so interesting to kind of hear, you know,
Yeah.
that one thing should be, and that's the thing is, that legacy that you want to leave behind should be the thing that pulls you forward,
Yeah.
to go through the downs, to go through, the highs and the lows and everything in between, because we all think it's supposed to be like this, but we all know it's, all over the place,
Right.
and that legacy should be what kind of will pull you through all of those things.
I guess, I mean, I don't know if this would be considered that, but one thing that I focus on too is when I do decide that I'm no longer going to be on the production side of it, that what happens to all those, past clients and stuff that I've, people that I have helped, because my business is built on past clients and referrals. That is my business. So what I guess legacy to me would be to make sure they're taken care of, which I will, and that's the plan I'm putting in place. Is if it's say in 3 or 5 years from now, I'm not in production at all, I've got to have a plan to be able to, who's going to take care of them, because I mean, I've built some great relationships over the years, and I don't want to, I would never, they're like, my clients are like, well, most of them, not all of them, but most of them are like family to me now, right? It's like,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
care about you. I've helped you do this, and I treat everybody like they're my children. I just do. I can't help it. And most people love that, but some people just don't. They're just like, I already have a mom. I don't need you. But anyway, so I want to know that they're taken care of if they choose. if they choose to, continue with our team, or if they choose to go off someplace else, that's fine. But I want to know that I've done what they, to what I need to do to take care of them.
That's awesome. I always like to end with this question, and it's, if you could give our audience, one piece of advice that maybe you wish you had in the beginning of your career, or that you just think is, super important to anyone in the real estate space, what would that be?
One thing, just one thing.
Well, you can maybe drop two, three, whatever you need.
I would say probably the most important thing is find a mentor. Find a mentor that you trust and that you have the same work ethic and outline for, because and listen to what they say. You may not do everything the way they do it, but find a mentor that you can that will help guide you. And I heard one time that somebody said mentors don't know they're a mentor, right? It's the mentee that it just kind of like took them on, or just said, they look at you as a mentor. Even the mentor doesn't even realize it. But
Sure.
So I would say find a mentor, whether they know they're your mentor or not, and look at how they do it, and see if that's the way you want. If you want to be like that person, then see what you can do to kind of follow in their path or whatever. And then starting off, if you're a brand new agent, put your systems in place, follow your systems, have confidence that it works, do the work, put the hard work in. Don't blame anybody else for your failures. You're going to fail. It's okay. We all fail. Know that you're going to have to make sacrifices, that kind of stuff. It's not an easy business to be in, but when you are a business owner, and that's what you are when you're a real estate agent, then you've got to sacrifice and you've got to put in the work. I would suggest, most people, if you don't find a mentor and want to do it on your own, start on a team and learn from that. And, not everybody is made to be on a team. Not everybody's made to be a solo agent. So,
right.
But yeah, that's probably the biggest advice I could give.
I love it. Sacrifices, right? It's what sacrifices are you willing to make and not make, right?
Absolutely. Because
there's always, I don't care what stage you are in your career, there's always going to be that decision of, am I willing to make this sacrifice to get to X or get X or whatever it is. So Anita, thank you so much for coming on. Those that are watching, her phone number has been down scrolling at the bottom of the screen. But Anita, for those that are listening in on the podcast, what's the best way if they're a real estate agent and they just want to pick your brain about real estate, or possibly want to join your team, or someone that's looking to buy or sell within the Central Ohio area that you or your team can help? What's the best way for them to reach out to you?
My phone number is probably the best way. They can call or text me, and that's 614-419-2831. I'm happy to talk to anybody and give my 2 cents worth.
Anita, thank you so much for your time today and coming on and sharing your journey with us. I really appreciate you. And if I could do anything for you in the future, please let me know.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Of course. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Bye.
All right. Bye.